Around. Not quite so chilly either tomorrow. It's been a bit dull and dismal across a good chunk of the UK. Still plenty of outbreaks of rain and drizzle around this evening. Even a few heavy downpours might even catch a thunderstorm, generally pushing away out into the North Sea. But this line of rain likely to persist through the night across parts of East Anglia, the Midlands, up towards Wales. And again, some heavy bursts mixed in with that. A few showers in the far north of Scotland, much of central and eastern Scotland staying dry and clear through the night. Temperatures dipping down into single figures. Quite a mild night in the south. Still that zone of heavier rain over some central parts of England and Wales early on, and still a few showers coming into northern Scotland during tomorrow. The odd one getting into the Highlands first thing, but much of eastern, southern Scotland having a sunny start to Wednesday. A brighter day for Northern Ireland, although still predominantly cloudy in the morning, and then there's cloudier zones through parts of England and Wales, still providing some outbreaks of rain, which could still be on the heavy side, particularly over the Midlands and mid-Wales first thing. That'll slowly push south and introduce a few showers down across the southeast of England from mid-morning onwards. Then we'll see a few heavy showers breaking out over maybe northeast England and southeast Scotland. But for many places, particularly in the west, it's a much drier, much brighter day tomorrow with some decent spells of sunshine and feeling a bit warmer as well. The winds will be lighter and temperatures close to a touch above average across the southeast. We might sneak over 20 degrees Celsius. Getting warmer still on Thursday, but as you can see, for many it's going to be a soggy start. A lot of cloud, outbreaks of rain and drizzle. That should become more confined to Scotland and Northern Ireland, always staying quite grey and murky in many western areas, but parts of the Midlands and eastern England will probably brighten up and turning a little bit warmer as well, although not feeling much warmer with the rain and the wind across Scotland and Northern Ireland.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good evening, this is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. The A82 at Torlundy near Inverlochy Castle is closed, follow diversions. The M48 bridge is shut both ways. In Cheshire East, M6 northbound traffic between junctions 19 and 20 adds 15 minutes. Hampshire's A303 eastbound faces delays due to an overturned vehicle. Somerset's A303 eastbound has a broken down vehicle. And on the trains, Elizabeth Line and Great Western Railway services face disruptions between London Paddington and Slough. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with skyroof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's 6 o'clock. I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is Jubes and Co. Coming up tonight, we'll have the very latest on the horrendous scenes which unfolded in Liverpool last night. The Home Secretary actually due to arrive there imminently. And Nigel Farage gave a 1-hour press conference today, essentially saying that Reform UK are the party for the working class. Do you agree with that or not? He also got stuck into a bit more detail around some of the direction of travel when it comes to their policy. So let's look at that. And speaking then of working class, in a stark departure from the previous Labour government's obsession with education, basically pushing people to uni who didn't really need to be there, today a new skills reboot has been announced with the Labour Party focusing on trades apprenticeships. Welcome news or not? We've got all of that and lots more keeping me company. I've got Ben Habib, the chairman of the Great British PAC, and Matt Larser, the former Labour Party advisor. But before we get stuck in, let's cross live and give you your 6 o'clock news headlines.
Very good evening to you. Tonight at 6, police say it's a miracle there weren't more serious injuries after a car ploughed into crowds at Liverpool's Premier League victory parade. The King says he is deeply shocked and saddened, with the Prince and Princess of Wales calling it heartbreaking to what should have been a joyful day. Princess Anne visited Liverpool this afternoon to meet emergency crews and praised their remarkable bravery. 11 people remain in hospital, all in a stable condition, and are said to be recovering well, according to Merseyside Police. Well, speaking earlier, Detective Chief Superintendent Karen Jaundrill said that officers are continuing to analyse footage of that crash.
We have arrested a 53-year-old man from West Derby on suspicion of attempted murder, dangerous driving offences and driving whilst unfit through drugs. He remains in custody where he is being interviewed. We have a total of 65 confirmed casualties, many of whom required hospital treatment. And our officers and family liaison officers are providing specialist support to a large number of these victims.
And Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said the country stands with the city of Liverpool after what he described as scenes of joy turned to devastation.
All stands together and the whole country stands with Liverpool. I'd like to thank the first responders who did a fantastic job last night and continue to do so. There's now an ongoing investigation. I'm being kept updated, talking frequently to the Mayor, Steve Rotherham. But as I say, my thoughts and the thoughts of the whole country will be with everybody in Liverpool today.
In Canada, King Charles has made history, becoming the first British monarch in nearly 50 years to deliver Canada's speech from the throne. Well, that visit follows an invite from Prime Minister Mark Carney, seen as a pointed response to Donald Trump's claim that Canada could become America's 51st state. Speaking in Ottawa, he praised the country's transformation since his mother's visit in 1977, calling Canada truly multicultural and independent. Well, His Majesty also recalled past global crises from the Cold War to the War on Terror and warned that Canada faces new threats today.
Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear and ones which the government is determined to protect.
Vote reform, get reform. Those were the words of Nigel Farage as he doubled down at a press conference in central London today. The Reform UK leader backed reinstating the winter fuel payment and scrapping both net zero targets and asylum seeker hotels. He also said lifting the two-child benefit cap would be the right thing to do. Nigel Farage paid tribute to the victims of the Liverpool attack last night and turned his fire on Sir Keir Starmer. He's also pitching reform as the only real opposition, he says, to a Labour government. And Tommy Robinson has been released from prison after serving time for contempt of court 4 months early. The 42-year-old left HMP Woodhill on Tuesday morning this morning, appearing on social media with longer hair, a beard and a rosary around his neck.
In a country that doesn't believe in free speech, being a citizen journalist, this place is an occupational hazard. It's ridiculous.
Well, Robinson is also due in court again on the 5th of June for alleged harassment and faces another trial next year over a separate phone data offence. Those are the latest headlines. I'll be back with you in an hour's time. Now, though, it's over to Michelle.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you very much for that. I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co with you until 7 o'clock tonight. I thought I was looking at Robinson Crusoe there at the end of that news bulletin. I can tell you, of course, many of you have got in touch about that story today with some of the issues that Tommy Robinson raises. Don't worry, we'll get into that before the end of the programme. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. And alongside me, look at my panel. I've got Ben Habib, the chairman of the Great British PAC, and Matthew Laza, the former Labour Party advisor. Good evening, gents. You're both very welcome tonight. As are each and every single one of you at home as well. Did you have a nice bank holiday yesterday? Did you do anything, or were you just grafting? Get in touch. What's on your mind tonight? You can join me all the usual ways. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can go to the website, gbnews.com/yoursay, or of course you can tweet, or you can X me, whatever we call it these days. You're very welcome this evening. But of course, like each and every single one of you, I imagine, I watched the horrendous footage of the incident in Liverpool as it unfolded yesterday. Absolutely sickening, confusing, devastating. Stayed up, watched the press conference as well. Like many of you, I was just so relieved. It felt like a miracle at the time to hear, and actually it was unbelievable in some ways when you'd seen some of that footage to hear that actually nobody had died last night. I was really pleased to hear that, and that was a situation that's continued again today. Of course, in Liverpool, Charlie Peters, our GB News reporter, he is live on the scene there. Good evening, Charlie Peters. Bring us up to speed with all of the latest developments from that story today.
Well, good evening, Michelle. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has visited this scene here just off the Strand in Liverpool city centre, moments from where that Liverpool Football Club parade passed through yesterday, and just maybe a dozen feet or so away from where that car came to a standstill dramatically yesterday evening, soon after 6 p.m, as that tragedy unfolded. And Yvette Cooper was meeting with emergency services who, as you said, Michelle, were involved in something of a miracle, saving lives on the front line of this tragedy yesterday, a harrowing scene for so many fans of Liverpool Football Club and members of the public in this city, because 65 casualties were recorded by the emergency services yesterday, and 11 remain in hospital, all in a stable condition and recovering well. Although yesterday we were told that children were caught up in the serious injuries, but we weren't told today how many of those 11 remaining in hospital were children. Onto the policing side, we also heard from Karen Jaundrill, the Detective Chief Superintendent of Merseyside Police, who told us that an extensive investigation is ongoing, with police sources telling GB News that they have until tomorrow lunchtime to continue questioning a 53-year-old man from West Derby, a suburb in Liverpool, who has been arrested on suspicion of multiple counts of attempted murder, though the police say won't say how many counts that is, dangerous driving, and also on suspicion of being unfit to drive through drugs, although no further information on what investigation took place to inform that suspicion. Now, as it stands, we have had the Home Secretary visiting here. We know that she was with the Deputy Chief Constable, Chris Green, and the Metro Mayor, Steve Rotherham. Also, the Princess Royal was visiting earlier today as this city continues to come to grips with what was meant to be one of its great days, an illustrious moment in the city and the football club's history, celebrating for the first time in decades on the streets, with the last time they won the Premier League being during the COVID lockdown. But that day of celebration, that day of joy with up to 1 million people on the streets here in Liverpool, did end in tragedy, and the city is continuing to recover and reflect, as many have their thoughts and prayers for those 11 who continue to recover in hospital.
Yeah, and earlier on today, the mayor, as you've just been describing there, he actually was asking questions and saying there's questions to be asked, essentially, as to how cars were even able to get down that street. Well, we know, don't we, off the back of the press conference, the police then told us that the car was apparently tailgating an ambulance. So does that answer the mayor's questions then, Charlie?
Well, Michelle, very close following the ambulance, which was responding to a suspected heart attack in the area of the parade. It was on a closed-off street, although we have heard from sources that it was a vehicle barrier in place preventing the entrance of any cars. So a vehicle would have had to move out of the way to allow the emergency services to go in. And in the heat of the moment, it's likely that that Ford Galaxy, driven by this 53-year-old suspect, according to the police, then tailgated right behind that ambulance and entered. But it is a question now of blame already, isn't it, Michelle? People asking how on earth could that vehicle possibly have entered a pedestrian area? We were told earlier by Jenny Sims, the Assistant Chief Constable, that they had a robust event management system in place, that there were armed police, that there wasn't any intelligence that this sort of event was going to take place. But GB News has heard from sources who told us that the vehicle barrier checkpoint was being manned by the events management team, not by the police.
Interesting stuff. Charlie Peters, thank you for your coverage. I've got to tell you, ladies and gents, like all of you, I had goosebumps watching it all unfold. Just sickening. We never know, do we, what is around the corner. All of those people, they would have got up yesterday just so excited. This was a huge moment for them. And even if you're not a massive football fan, just the whole sense of pride, excitement, community coming together. It would have been just such an incredibly exciting day. For that day then to end with people either injured, trapped under a car, or frantically trying to get a hold of their loved ones and being unable to in some cases. Nobody deserves that. It's just so tragic. Ben Habib.
Well, I completely agree with you. You know, we have a problem, don't we, if you have cars driving through crowds and tailgating ambulances that are attending to someone with a heart attack and then using that as an opportunity to effectively inflict serious bodily harm with an intent, presumably, to kill. I know he's been charged with attempted murder, and which doesn't sit entirely comfortably with all the allegations that he was also under the influence of drugs.
Well, he's been arrested for that, hasn't he? That's what he's actually been arrested for. They are the charges, but carry on.
But in my mind, they're slightly opposite. Attempted murder and being under the influence of drugs. You know, if you're under the influence of drugs, were you really attempting to kill people? Anyway, we will find out. I think there's a lot more to this story that will come out during the course of the investigation and trial. And, you know, for me, it is important to try and understand why it is this individual did what he did and to get to the bottom of it, because the pattern of behaviour here is a pattern that we've actually seen being used as terrorism in the past. And, you know, I find it hard to believe that this guy hasn't got some kind of ideological thing going on in his head.
Well, I've got to say, they've repeatedly, categorically said that this is not terrorism. And I mean, this is one of the things, in this day and age now, we live in a social media era, don't we? And all of this, I mean, like you, we saw it all unfold. I've seen so many videos of this stuff, all of them absolutely horrific, but they have absolutely stressed that this is not, in their mind, terrorism-related. Matt Lazar.
So, I mean, it's just your heart goes out to everybody who's been affected by this, not just the people in hospital, and we hope that they have a speedy recovery. But I was actually in Liverpool a week yesterday, and it just, my friend of mine who's a councillor in Liverpool was getting who I was meeting for dinner, was getting a briefing as the whole council was on the plans for the parade a week later, and obviously they thought they put the best possible plans in place. I think the problem is that it's very hard at these events to either if we're going to have some freedom at these events, we're going to have our way of life. We say this after every, and this isn't regarded as a terrorist attack, but after every terrorist incident or every incident, the shocking incident like this, it's very hard to get that balance right. I mean, we heard from China, it looks like the events company were manning the vehicle checkpoints, allegedly were manning the vehicle checkpoints, not police. The problem is there probably aren't enough police in order for them to do it. They were more on the front line because people anticipated that the trouble might just come from people who were getting a little bit exuberant in their celebration. So lots of questions to ask, but it looks at the moment like he didn't have a motive, but I mean we must have answers to all the questions about the preparations.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? After the Southport killings, we were told categorically that this was a Welshman who'd perpetrated the killings, and in my mind, no use of the word Welshman could be applied to Axel Rudakabana. He may live in Cardiff, but it was a definite deflection by the Prime Minister trying to reduce concerns about the ethnicity of the individual who perpetrated those crimes. And the other thing we were told after the Southport killings was that that was not a terrorist event. They said exactly the same thing. It wasn't a terrorist event. And then we subsequently discovered, and it was known to the Prime Minister at the time, that this individual was in possession of Al-Qaeda workbooks and ricin and, all things that look and feel like terrorism. And so I absolutely have, in my mind, a very healthy cynicism and scepticism about what I hear coming out from Merseyside Police and from the authorities. I want to see the full details of this before I make a judgment on this guy just having had drugs and not being motivated by something ideological. We've heard too many times that this is not a terrorist attack, this is not ideological, this is not part of the problems that we've created in our country with mass immigration, etc. And I want to see in the cold light of day what the facts are, rather than just believing what Merseyside Police have trotted out straight after the event.
Well, I've got to say, time will tell, won't it? But that is the point that I was trying to make. We live in a social media era now, and these stories just get legs instantly. Everyone uses their own eyes, everyone sees their own footage, and whatever the police say about speculating and all the rest of it, of course people speculate. That's just human nature. When you hear a story about a car being rammed through pedestrians on a street, every single person I would put to you sits there and has thoughts and conversations and all the rest of it about why, who, what motivated them and all the rest of it. Unfortunately, we do live in a very low-trust society at the moment as well, don't we? And we shall see. The police say that they learnt lessons from the way that they dealt with the Southport situation. There were so many rumours and all the rest of it going around online. They would argue that they learnt lessons. That's why they've been so quick with some of their information this time. Time will tell, won't it? I hope nothing like this ever happens again, but if it does, we'll see how quickly the police forces do release that information going forward. But for now, look, our thoughts, importantly, with everybody affected in this incident. There's people still in hospital, including, I'm believing, a child as well. So like I said, I'll end as I started. We never know what the future holds. We never know what tomorrow may bring, really. We've only got this present moment, haven't we? That's all we have to be certain about. Absolutely tragic. And again, thoughts with everybody affected. Coming up after the break, Reform UK, Nigel Farage giving a big press conference today, enlightening us about policy ideas and direction of travel. They say that they are the party for the working class and that Keir Starmer is a non-patriotic Prime Minister. Your thoughts? I'll see you in 2.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney. Weekdays from 3 p.m.
To try and get rid of the St George's flag.
Well, firstly, I think a woke landing craft drove through our interview at 10 miles an hour. But answering your question, I was asked to change a whole bunch of things on that spring picture. And to this day, I don't know why. As I said previously, it was just selling very, very well. And all of a sudden, the skids hit, and I was told to remove several things for God knows why. It's been selling very well, so why would you want to change it? And to this day, I don't understand. Well, as the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So, Mike, we see there the St George's flag. Let's get the next picture up. There's a saucy window cleaner halfway up the ladder there, peeking into a soap-covered, buxom young beauty. Presumably that's also anti-woke these days.
Well, I have to enjoy myself when I'm drawing something. I'll sit there drawing blokes all day.
So the person in the bath you made trans, fair enough. If you can't beat them, join them. And what about the Morris dancers?
Well,
they didn't even like Morris dancers, mate.
Yeah, the other thing is you've got to remember I live in Bognor Regis, so we're used to innuendo and lunacy.
So the fact of the matter is they censored your Jigsaw, you told them to go and shove it. Do you think this is, you got a quick 30 seconds, any regrets on what you did?
No, not at all. I'm English, I'm very proud of my country. I don't care what anyone does, I don't want to join their club, but they're quite happy to do it. But I don't understand a professional suicide that company seemed to do by upsetting all the regulars that love doing my humour.
GB News. GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co. Till 7 o'clock. Ben Habib and Matt Laza remain alongside me. And of course, a huge outpouring of love and support and solidarity with everybody impacted by that horrendous situation that we saw in Liverpool last night. Now, Nigel Farage, he gave a 1-hour press conference today, ladies and gents, where he was setting more of the detail around the direction of travel of Reform UK and some of their policies. I want to get into that in a few minutes. But before I do that, one of the other things he was doing was having a pop, it won't surprise you, at Sir Keir Starmer. Let's take a listen.
This Prime Minister has no connection with working people, no connection with what we used to call working class communities. His leadership, frankly, is dismal. It is uninspiring. It is disconnected from real life. It is, in my view, unpatriotic. And now, even opinion polling today suggesting that over half the country thinks his leadership, frankly, is pointless.
Matt Laza, if you shook your head any more furiously then, it was in danger of falling off. What's the matter?
Well, I think Nigel's got some gall and some gumption, more front than Blackpool, as my nan would have said, in what he's saying. So he's got, as a public school educated guy, claiming that Keir Starmer and the Labour cabinet aren't in touch with ordinary people. This is the first cabinet in British history where not a single person went to a fee-paying school. So it represents the 93% of us...
Did they go to school at all?
Well, they did.
You're harsh.
It's a bit harsh. Bit harsh, Ben, bit harsh. They went to school, and most of them, but not all of them, like Angela, went to university. So... one
of them trained as a solicitor, but didn't quite make it.
Well, that's a different issue, but I think saying that they're not in touch with ordinary people is just outrageous. Look, I don't agree with Nigel politically, but I wouldn't question Nigel's patriotism, and I actually wouldn't question the patriotism of Kerry Badenoch or Ed Davey either. I think that Keir Starmer very much believes in the country. I'm not going to say his dad was a toolmaker because I can hear the laugh already. Actually, happens to be true. The family got richer as he grew up. His dad, I think, sort of went into management when Keir was about 16 or something. So, but you know, he grew up in a pretty modest family and being lectured about being in touch with the working class by a public schoolboy who spent 20 years on the Brussels gravy train. Come off it.
Of course, many viewers will remember that very quick-fire interview where he was directly asked Westminster or Davos. He chose Davos.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Westminster's exactly a hotbed of the working class either. I mean, I don't think that applies. I mean, I don't think that makes him. I don't think that makes him unpatriotic. I think it was a stupid answer, but I don't think it makes him unpatriotic. I mean, look, on basic things is, you know, whenever there's an England football match, every politician gets out the England shirt, and quite a lot. You know, when Priti Patel got out and it still had the creases in it because it was in the bag. I feel a bit sorry for him because I'm not a particularly football fan either. I feel a bit sorry for Priti, but he genuinely goes to England matches, even pays for it himself sometimes because he actually is a, you know, he's a football supporter and he's a patriot, as is Nigel.
I think Nigel was not really being accurate. I wouldn't say Keir Starmer is unpatriotic. I'd say he's actively anti-British. Oh. If you look at the rhetoric and the desires he has for this country, they are to the detriment of this country. I mean, most recently, let's just look at the Chagos deal. I highly recommend viewers read the recitals to the agreement, which sets out the foundations of why we gave Chagos away. And it is full of mea culpa as far as the British, as far as the United Kingdom is concerned, as far as our history is concerned, as far as how we got into control of those islands is concerned. It is a damning indictment of everything British in those recitals, all of it false, including apologising to the Mauritians, in effect, for crimes committed, wrongdoings by the British in the past. What wrongdoings? It's just a declaration. He is ashamed of our history, he is ashamed of this country, and we have tangible evidence for it beyond Chagos. Last week, he basically was moving towards handing the military, the control of our military over to the European Union, embedding us in a European framework out of which we would never be able to emerge as an independent military force. He was also busy taking down our borders. 2 days before that, he had said that we were likely to become strangers in our own country. And yet, as I say, 2 days after that statement, he was taking down our borders. If you take down the borders of a country and let in 80 million youth from the European Union, you are basically setting aside the nation-state that is the United Kingdom. That can only be interpreted as being anti-British. He also subjected this country to phytosanitary and sanitary alignment on regulatory alignment with the European Union, which means as foreign power makes a law, we have to take it on in the UK. It also means that it's a foreign court that will adjudicate those laws. Again, a very anti-British move. This man, remember, and we mustn't forget it, wanted to reverse Brexit. He wanted a second referendum on it. He wasn't satisfied that the British people, the so-called working class, as Nigel referred to them, the working class in this country wanted out of the EU. And Starmer wouldn't give it to us. And he's now busy reversing it. He is not just unpatriotic, he is anti-British.
Very swift reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I completely disagree, Ben. I mean, look at the government's commitment to spending more on Britain's defences. Look at him.
He's handing over our military to the European Union.
No, he's not.
Absolutely, he is.
And talk about the tougher stance he's taken on immigration. I think he's a true patriot.
Well, there you go. What a strange society we're in now, though, where everyone has to try and outdo each other as to who is the most patriotic. I won't believe anyone's patriotic until they've got a British bulldog tattooed on their left butt cheek, if you ask me. But
well,
anyway,
I'm just going to take my trousers
off. All right,
off.
okay.
No, too much, Ben.
That is a good point in time to go to a break. Let's get into the policies then that Reform UK were talking about in that press conference. I'll see you in 2.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, well, there's plenty of sunshine across Europe and it's feeling warm there too, with some spells of rain or thunderstorms across the east. Now, we have lighter winds across the Canary Islands and Madeira, plenty of sunshine across Portugal and Spain, likewise as we go into Italy, but there will be a few showers across eastern areas, perhaps some thunderstorms developing as well. Plenty of sunshine then on offer through the rest of the week and temperatures rising nicely, highs of 30. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Overall, a bit brighter and a bit drier for most of us tomorrow, probably feeling a little bit warmer as well. Today was a bit dull and dismal for a good chunk of the UK thanks to this tangle of weather fronts that's now shimmying away. Low pressure though still dominating to the north of Scotland, still quite breezy here with a few showers, but generally clear skies across eastern and southern Scotland, and the rain is petering out for most elsewhere, but this line may persist from East Anglia across the Midlands and into mid and north Wales. Still some heavy bursts of rain mixed in with that this evening and through the night. Temperatures, well, we've got the clear skies across Scotland. We will dip well down into single figures, but across the south actually staying pretty mild through the nights, and generally here a much drier and brighter day, certainly across southern parts of England. But there will be this zone across parts of Norfolk, Suffolk, through the Midlands up towards Wales, where it will be pretty dull, still with further outbreaks of rain to come during tomorrow morning. The odd shower elsewhere, but overall much drier day for Northern Ireland. Seen plenty of sunshine today across eastern Scotland, and a fine start here to come tomorrow, but still some showers coming into northern and western parts of Scotland, blown in on a brisk breeze, but that wind tending to ease through the day. In fact, for all of us, the wind's not as strong tomorrow. There will still be that zone of cloud and showery rain. That'll drift down towards the London area, so some showers in the southeast for the afternoon. In fact, generally across eastern England, southern Scotland, 1 or 2 heavy showers are possible, but certainly for many, it's a much brighter, much drier day. Bit more sunshine and temperatures higher as well. Now, temperatures will tick up further come the end of the week, but as you can see, Thursday's likely to start pretty grey with further rain. That rain likely to be heavy and quite persistent across Scotland and Northern Ireland, where it'll also be fairly breezy. In the south, though, for England and Wales, it may well get a bit brighter, staying quite murky around western coast, but some sunny spells are possible, and temperatures will be ticking up through this week. Bye for now.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello there, I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes and Co with you until 7 o'clock tonight. Alongside me, I've got my panel, Ben Habib, the chairman of the Great British PAC, and Matt Laza, the former Labour Party advisor. Lots of you getting in touch, talking about the press conference that Nigel Farage held today. Lots of you seem to be quite galvanised by what you heard. Alistair, though, says, Michelle, at the end of the day, where are the Tories in all of this? Some people even feel that they represent the working people better than the Labour Party. We'll keep your thoughts on that one coming in, but if you did miss it, let's just play a clip then, shall we, of some of the things that Nigel Farage was saying today.
If we win the next election, we will scrap net zero, something that is costing the Exchequer an extraordinary £40 billion plus every year. There will be no more asylum hotels or houses of multiple occupancy. People who come here illegally across the Channel or on the back of lorries will not be allowed to stay. We will scrap the DEI agenda. which is costing the taxpayer up to £7 billion a year throughout the public sector. And yes, we see considerable savings to be made amongst the quangos. So yes, I do accept that these proposals, especially the one of lifting to £20,000 the level at which people start paying tax, I accept that it's expensive, but I genuinely believe that we can pay for it because we're not ideologically tied to the same ideas upon which we believe the Conservative and Labour governments have gone so wrong over the course of the last few years.
Matt Larser, Nigel Farage the other day was saying that he believes that Reform UK are the real opposition to the Labour Party. Many people would say that the Labour Party are basically following and being led by Reform UK. What do you think some of what you're hearing from Nigel there?
Well, I mean, I think that they in a sense, he's right that they're the main opposition because the Tories are just in a state of absolute meltdown. We've now seen them coming fourth in opinion polls over the last 10 days behind the Liberal Democrats. Maybe they'll slip to fifth behind the Greens. I mean, the Tories are on the verge of irrelevance. So I think, in a sense, I'm glad that Nigel gave this speech today because we've got real meat to get our teeth into, real policy meat and real discussions to have. But I think it's complete...
When you say get your teeth into, do you mean to analyse or to copy?
Well, I think to analyse, not to copy. I think the worst thing the Labour Party could do is try and out-reform reform. That doesn't mean to say that it doesn't mean the Labour Party shouldn't do sensible things to keep migration under control, and we can go on and look at the other things. But I don't think the Labour Party should follow itself just trying to chuck ideas out there just to seem to be reform light. I actually think that's a disaster for the Tories as well, because the Tories will lose some other support. But I mean, because there are things in here that Labour will, you cannot increase the tax threshold to 20,000. It will bankrupt the country.
Why do you say that, Matthew?
Because of the cost. I mean, basically, Nigel's given a speech today in which he thinks taking down a couple of pride flags is going to save sort of 25 billion quid a year. I've got a message for Nigel. No, it isn't. And what's interesting is
hang on,
he was sat there.
Hold on, Matt Larser, don't be daft. That's not what he said. He didn't say I'm going to take 2 flags down, and therefore I can take the personal allowance down to 20 grand. That's
one of his big savings was on DEI. What's hilarious is all these councillors have come in, and he was surrounded today by his council leaders who were going to have to take tough decisions. And quite a lot of them found out that quite a lot of these county councils didn't spend a penny on DEI, so that's the first cut that they can't make.
I mean, you can't quantify the damage done by DEI because the damage is manifold, and it's not just in direct cost of employing people to enforce DEI. The real cost is in progressive discrimination of people into jobs and positions which they shouldn't hold. Because they're not the best at it. And what we're doing is setting aside meritocracy in favour of progressive discrimination. And that has a massive, unquantifiable cost for the country, not to mention, obviously, all the cultural damage. DEI is a fundamentally divisive, pernicious government policy that has not be ditched.
But it's not going to pay for a tax. It's not going to pay for increasing by 40% the tax threshold.
You can't quantify it. But the damage done by it is vast. And so if you were to remove it, there's bound to be upside. It's a bit like ditching net zero. Again, Nigel Farage quantified DEI as 7 billion a year, and he quantified net zero as 40 billion a year. Actually, the money will be much, much bigger. The economy will do much better than that, because net zero isn't just the cost of the actual grants being given to renewable energy companies. The cost of net zero, true cost of net zero, is all the burdens being foisted on households to insulate, offices to insulate, office properties becoming redundant and having to be knocked down, perfectly good cars having to be written off, ULEZ charges, and so on and so forth. It has a domino effect right across the country, not least of which is the massive cost of energy for industry, which hollows out our industry.
Ben, I agree with you. We need more competitive energy prices.
Yeah. But so it's not 40 billion. We're talking about potentially.
But today, Nigel, what's very extraordinary today is that Nigel has basically announced a £3.5 billion increase in the welfare bill.
So that's a very interesting debate. I don't know if we've got to that point.
What are we talking about?
So this is removing the cap on 2 children. Yeah. So if you have more than 2 children and you're in receipt of income-related benefits, basically universal credit and all its components, then you don't get any extra acknowledgement of that. You don't get any extra benefit within the means-tested thing. And that's a huge thing. He said it will increase work. There's actually very little evidence of that. The Tories introduced it for a reason. Labour's kept it because Labour's big thing is to get people off benefit and into work, to reskill the British workforce. workforce, and yet Nigel is trying... I'm not sure it's been thought through, because all the polling evidence shows that the right of centre voters are very in favour of this cap, and they're not against it. And I think it's Nigel getting a bit too clever by half. Tactically, it's a good idea to put your tanks on Labour's lawn, but whether politically in the medium term it is, if you're annoying some of your supporters, those on slightly higher incomes, you don't want to pay the tax to pay for those benefits.
Yeah, but let's be clear then, because if someone from Reform was here now, what they would say is, right, today it was all about kind of setting the direction of travel. So these are the kind of principles that we hold, the way that we want to be working towards, and so on and so forth. All of these numbers need to be fleshed out and thought through and all the rest of it. He would say, or Reform would say, I'm sure, that this whole two-child benefit cap, it's all about fostering families, encouraging the birth rate to increase in this country, by definition then reducing immigration, the dependence on migrants in things like the workforce. So they would argue that that's why...
A lot of people aren't in work.
The child benefit doesn't achieve... increasing child benefit doesn't achieve those aims, Michelle, because effectively what happens with child benefit is you're rewarding people who aren't working. Nigel Farage made a big thing about representing the working class, and I completely agree with him. You should only be, frankly, in frontline politics if it's the working and middle classes whom you wish to represent. They're the people that most matter in the country in a democracy. But actually, when you incentivise people to have children when they're not working, because this is a dependency-related payment, and as you said yourself before we went on air, you can't get it for your children because actually you pay tax. You're precisely the kind of person who should be encouraged to have children. And so it shouldn't be just the state handing out goodies. That perpetuates the dependency culture.
It's not that I can't get child benefit because I pay tax. It's that when you get to a certain level... Yeah, when you get to a certain level, which, by the way, I think is completely wrong, because I think in this country, when people become higher or additional taxpayers or whatever it is, to then say, actually, do you know what, you pay massively and heavily into the state, but guess what, you can get pretty much nada out of it. I think that is personally wrong.
The people we want procreating are the people who are working, who have aspiration, who have desires, and we need to make it easier for them to procreate and have children. And therefore, that isn't done through furthering a massive culture of dependency that we already have in this country. The way to do it is give people tax breaks on having children, on being married, on the family unit. And
but that's one of the things that they was proposing today. They were talking about incentivising tax-wise the institution of marriage.
But the policy that was revealed was a deeply damaging policy, which is incentivising those who can least afford it to have children. And by the way, it is the white majority in Western countries that are not procreating. There is no shortage of procreation amongst ethnic minorities in the West.
But that's what he was saying. Yeah, but because he was specifically asked that by Adam Cherry, actually, the GBNews presenter. I think, have I got time to show you this clip quickly? Because Adam Cherry asked about this. Listen.
Just on the detail of what you're announcing today, are you scrapping the benefit cap entirely, or are you introducing a new cap of 3 or 4 children? And then on the shared family tax allowance, are you putting a figure on that today, or is it just sort of in principle?
Yeah, it'll be up to a £5,000 transferable allowance, all right, which would help, say one of the parents wanted to spend a bit more time at home in the first 18 months, 2 years of a child's life. Those allowances could be transferred. It would give people more options and greater flexibility. We're not putting a cap on the number of children. I want to re-emphasise, this is not for people who arrive in Britain from overseas and have lots and lots of kids. It's designed to help hard-working, though slightly low-paid British workers.
But that doesn't address my point. What I said was that it's the white majority in Western countries who are not procreating. They're the one. That's the population that's dying. Ethnic minorities are growing, quite happily. There's no problem with that. And actually, when you couple that with DEI, I know Nigel Farage wants to abolish DEI, but when you couple the incentivising of ethnic minorities having children with DEI, actually you've got a Molotov cocktail.
It's the magic money tree. I mean, it's actually, as he says, it's not true that it would go to people who were available to claim benefits under the benefit system, who would get it. You can't discriminate on that basis. And this £5,000 tax-free allowance, it's the magic money tree. It can't all be paid for by getting rid of DEI and net zero, which is a complicated issue. It's going to end up with tax rises for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And at least we now know what reform stands for. It's fantasy economics.
It wasn't just cutting down pride flags and stuff like that he was saying that would fund this.
It's a good line, though, wasn't it, Michelle?
It was. No, I think it was ridiculous. It's not true. It was all about reducing quangos, reducing DEI, reducing all of the asylum costs. So there was a whole package of reform.
On the asylum costs, he was asked
about $350 billion.
He's going to get rid of asylum hotels. What's he actually going to do? People are not going to suddenly start coming because Nigel's elected as Prime Minister. And the people in the hotels, what's he going to do? Just kick them out in the street, put them at gunpoint back to France? I'm actually asking genuinely.
Andrea Jenkins had a great policy. She said we should put them in tented camps. So,
That's not free.
Under military... No, but it's a lot cheaper than a 4-star hotel.
Well, there you go. This is a conversation that will rumble on, and you will have strong opinions on it at home. Tell me them, and I'll see you in 2.
You put them in...
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns next Tuesday from 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Hello there, Michelle Dewberry, Ben Habib and Matthew Larza with you until 7 o'clock tonight. Look, let's talk skills, shall we? I'm old enough to remember that the former Labour government was all about education, education, education. Well, today, no, it's all about apprenticeships, apparently. 120,000 new apprenticeships and training spots across England. This is all about trying to get people back into the trades, if you like, and you've got a bit of money behind it, £3 billion. Matt Larza right move or not?
Absolutely. This is brilliant. This is what the Labour government should have been doing. They should have been talking about this right from the beginning. Frankly, I think we can all agree that we need more apprenticeships. We need to train up
Why
police
did you
workers.
send everyone to university then?
So I think you need a skilled workforce which includes all different types of skills. I think it is the 50% target was fine, but it is. But what I think.
Do you think that's fine? Do you not think it's a bit ludicrous that half of the young people need to go to university and then end up doing what? You end up with this overqualified, entitled as well, I would say, workforce that think because they've got a degree they should be doing X, Y, and Z, and then they get a really cold, hard shock when they come out and go, well, actually, these jobs don't even exist. Now I've got to flip burgers, and I'm not happy about it because I've got a 2-1 in basket weaving or whatever.
And they've got a big amount of debt. So look, I think university absolutely isn't for everybody. I think that the Blair Brown government put a huge emphasis, as you said, on university and not enough on skilling the rest of the country. The Tories talked a good game, but one of the things they did on apprenticeships is, the big change today is the apprenticeship money was being spent on effectively training solicitors and effectively white-collar workers, many of whom might even have had a degree already. So what today's announcement is about getting it right back into frontline skills, focusing particularly on young people, and making sure that we don't have to import the plumbers, the bricklayers, the hairdressers, and the chefs from around the world.
Lee says, Michelle, you know what? I'm a self-employed decorator in Grimsby. I didn't do great at school, but he is loving, I think, what he does now, and he says he supports this whole Labour policy, even though he says he's not a Labour supporter by definition. Ben, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, terrific to bring skills back to the United Kingdom. I mean, for too long we've turned our back on them in the pursuit, as you've said, both of you have said, higher ed, tertiary education at universities. But I think we need a more holistic approach to it. First of all, I would de-universitise the polytechnics and recreate the polytechnics. That provided a great training ground for various skills. I would also reward small and medium-sized businesses that have been hit so hard through the cost of living going up, all the requirements for net zero, all the taxes that have been, they've been burdened with, and give them tax relief, give them incentives to actually take on people and young people, train them, and hold them for the long term. The only issue I've got with the policy is that, a bit like the child benefit payments, it is dependency again. The government's handing out cash. The government's got to stop handing out cash, and it's got to find mechanisms of enabling businesses, private individuals, whatever, to actually do what's necessary.
Well, I think the idea is that it goes to businesses, but then businesses, top it up. And the big change today is they were called level 7, these things, where you become an apprenticeship to be a solicitor. And actually, we want an apprenticeship to be workers on the front line.
I did an apprenticeship, ladies and gents. I've got to tell you, it was the best thing for me, best thing that I ever did, and it gave me such an amazing foundation to progress in my career. Craig says, Michelle, I've got an idea. Donald Trump would like you, Craig, because he suggests how about you don't tax overtime in this country? That would get people more productive. It would increase output and so on and so forth, and it would put the money in your back pocket. I like it, Craig. I'll tell you now another story that's got everyone talking. Tommy Robinson, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, he was released early today from prison. Of course, you know this story by now. Lots of you get in touch frequently about it. Let's look at a clip of something that he had to say earlier.
In a country that doesn't believe in free speech, being a citizen journalist, this place is an occupational hazard. It's ridiculous.
Was like Robinson Crusoe, don't I? Ben Habib, I mean, I've got to say, he went on to say a lot of other stuff he thinks is an enemy of the state. I think if people actually thought they were going to silence him by locking him up, I think they'll be surprised. I don't think they're going to. Your thoughts?
Well, the Tommy Robinson phenomena, I don't think should be looked at through the persona of Tommy Robinson. What we should be looking at is the, what he's been subjected to and what he's had to put up with in order to have his free speech. And so it's not about Tommy Robinson, it's about the fact that he was incarcerated for showing this film. And without a doubt, in my mind, he was a political prisoner. It was a civil case. Absolutely, you're shaking your head, Matthew.
I am.
But it was a civil case in which an injunction was placed on him from showing this film about this Libyan boy. He breached the injunction, Syrian boy, and he breached that injunction. And the right course of action should have been a rap on the knuckles, a fine, or whatever. It should have stayed in the civil domain. But Lord Hermer, who's a terrorist-supporting, illegal migrant-supporting... he's a terrorist-supporting... he is. He backed Jerry Adams. He backs Jerry Adams, and he's trying to change laws in this country so Jerry Adams can
Well, he's not here to defend himself, is he?
OK, but he is a horrible man. He's a political appointment. He's the Attorney General, and he elevated the case against Tommy Robinson from being civil, effectively, to being criminal, and directed the courts to incarcerate Tommy Robinson. It was he was a political prisoner.
Tommy Robinson feels himself as the ultimate influencer. All this theatre of looking like Robinson Crusoe. You are allowed a safety razor in prison. He clearly wanted to look as bedraggled as possible for maximum impact.
But would you save your moustache if you were incarcerated?
I think I might. It might be. I could trim it better because I'd have more time.
I think you'd look so much more handsome if you shaved it off.
Oh, it's mixed views. But I think the issue with Tommy Robinson is the same rules apply to him as apply to the rest of us. One thing that slightly confused me is I thought that the reason that attendance had been reduced is because he meant to have shown contrition. There wasn't much contrition today. I mean, unless I'm imagining that, I thought that was one of the reasons that the judge gave the other day. I think the best thing with Tommy Robinson to do is ignore him.
Do you? Well, there you go. What will happen next? Because I've got to tell you, that story doesn't end anytime soon, because already they're lining up the next set of charges against him, aren't they? Of course, we'll follow that and bring you all the updates on that stuff as it happens. Look, when it comes to Reform UK, lots of you are getting in touch saying you like the cut of Nigel Farage's jib, but again, you're saying that you want to see the sums add up. Lots of you as well getting in touch saying, hang on, Michelle, what's that you're saying about tattoos on our butt cheeks? Surely you don't want to see those, do you? No, I do not want to see your butt cheeks. They're absolutely safe. I'm just saying that, you know, these days we're all trying to outdo each other about how patriotic we are. Anyway, look, I've got to say as well, Ben, the guy that you were just talking about there as well, of course, he's not here to defend himself, Lord Herman. He would dispute a lot of what you had to say, I am sure. But for now, that's all we've got time for. Thank you to my panel. Thank you to you at home. Have a fantastic night, and I'll see you tomorrow night.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening, welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Overall, a bit brighter and a bit drier for most of us tomorrow, probably feeling a little bit warmer as well. Today was a bit dull and dismal for a good chunk of the UK thanks to this tangle of weather fronts that's now shimmying away. Low pressure though still dominating to the north of Scotland, still quite breezy here with a few showers, but generally clear skies across eastern and southern Scotland. And the rain is petering out for most elsewhere, but this line may persist from East Anglia across the Midlands and into mid and North Wales. Still some heavy bursts of rain mixed in with that this evening and through the night. Temperatures, well, we've got the clear skies across Scotland. We will dip well down into single figures, but across the south actually staying pretty mild through the nights, and generally here a much drier and brighter day, certainly across southern parts of England. But there will be this zone across parts of Norfolk, Suffolk, through the Midlands up towards Wales, where it will be pretty dull, still with further outbreaks of rain to come during tomorrow morning. The odd shower elsewhere, but overall much drier day for Northern Ireland. Seen plenty of sunshine today across eastern Scotland, and a fine start here to come tomorrow, but still some showers coming into northern and western parts of Scotland, blown in on a brisk breeze, but that wind tending to ease through the day. In fact, for all of us, the wind's not as strong tomorrow. There will still be that zone of cloud and showery rain. That'll drift down towards the London area, so some showers in the southeast for the afternoon. In fact, generally across eastern England, southern Scotland, 1 or 2 heavy showers are possible, but certainly for many, it's a much brighter, much drier day. Bit more sunshine and temperatures higher as well. Now, temperatures will tick up further come the end of the week, but as you can see, Thursday's likely to start pretty grey with further rain. That rain likely to be heavy and quite persistent across Scotland and Northern Ireland, where it'll also be fairly breezy. In the south, though, for England and Wales, it may well get a bit brighter, staying quite murky around western coast, but some sunny spells are possible, and temperatures will be ticking up through this week. Bye for now.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to